Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm having some issue with my video, but I'm trying to fix it. But in the meantime, I will just commence the session. Good evening, everyone. My name is Danny Akinwale. I'm the anchor for this session today. Please kindly bear with me while I try to work on my video, my connection. I'm trying to swap gadgets. Today's program is the closing session for the JIIPCC Consult Internship Program. Today is the closing ceremony, and that's actually been an interesting session, actually for the mentees. JIIPCC, Intellectual Property Mentorship and Internship Program, is a quarterly program for students, young professionals, and enthusiasts across Africa. The program has actually mentored about 90 mentees across Africa from 2021 to date, which is actually an impressive number within a very short span of time. In the first quarter of 2022, two mentorship programs were the consult ran two mentorship programs. First, the Intellectual Property Mentorship and Internship Program, and the Artificial Intelligence and Technology Mentorship Program. The purpose of the program was to allow mentees the opportunity to access valuable advice, training network, mentorship, internship, discussion forums, industry updates, and resource materials from experienced mentors. The program also seeks to encourage continuous development and evolution in Africa and around the world. Yeah, so you can join the program on YouTube, on Facebook, and with the hashtag JIIPCCMIP. Now, the objectives of the program, I'll quickly run through the objectives of the program, is to provide easy access to quality professional guidance, training and resource materials for students, young professionals, and enthusiasts in Africa, to facilitate a network among experienced and less experienced practitioners and stakeholders, to transform mentees into mentors and leaders for the next generation of mentees, to facilitate further mentorship, internship, scholarship, and job placement for mentees. So without further ado, I would quickly make some announcements. There's the 30-minute private mentorship with mentors available. If you've not registered, please register. And I want to encourage, even though I'm having issues with my own video, I would like to encourage mentees to please put on their video. I'm trying to work on mine. So I'm just having some issues with it. So I would please encourage, as young mentees, you definitely gain a lot, much more than what from having a one-to-one mentorship session with mentors. I'm sure you're not going to regret it. Second, the registration is ongoing for the second quarter of the mentorship session. So please check the social media and kindly register if you've not registered. So just register if you know, and also inform others too. If you've benefited from this program, kindly inform others to also register. So I would tell Folarin. I don't know if Mr. Folarin is actually available, but I would like to call on Mr. Folarin a father who has always been with the mentees, always available to dish out his experience, his knowledge, his expertise, and equip young mentees with them. I would like to call on Mr. Folarin to please give us his speech Also, we're eager to actually listen to Mr. Falari. Mr. Falari, sir, I believe you are with us here, so you have the floor if you are around, sir.
Okay, I think he's not here.
Sorry, Mr. Falari, sir.
He has not joined us yet.
I don't know. Okay. But I believe we'll join us as soon as he can. Maybe perhaps would have, I think Mr. Marx is actually on the call. I believe, I don't know, it's my pleasure to, Mr. Marx, I think he can also give us a speech. He's one of our keynote speakers. So, Mr. Marx, please, we're eager to listen to you and to your speech, especially for the young men, sir. Please, you have the floor, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. My apologies. I'm having to use my phone, of course. Anybody who's in Nigeria this period knows what is happening. So having some power challenge. But thank you very much again. Let me begin by first of all thanking Madam Juliana Imam for the privilege to be invited, both as a mentee on this program and also to give this keynote speech as you wrap up your the mentorship program. For me, it's a huge delight. I don't take this, lightly. It's a great opportunity to be able to speak with you guys. And one of the reasons I always tell people is because my journey in IP started right from the very grassroots. Unfortunately, I can't use my laptop. I wanted to show you a picture I just saw somewhere, a Fox News report, where Fox Business report, where it was stated that a company had filed a patent application to trademark its company logo. So it just tells you the level of ignorance about IP that is out there. So it's not just a Nigerian or an African thing. Imagine if Fox Business, as reputable an organization as they are, make that kind of fundamental error. It tells you IP, and of course, that is my personal story. I started IP as a novice who knew nothing about IP. Never studied IP when I was in school. Into practice, I think I ran into doing some research on IP, and that was where I started learning gradually from. So for you, this mentorship program is such a huge opportunity. You should not waste at all. The fact that you have had this opportunity early enough in your careers to know about IP, then I would encourage you to take this opportunity and run with it. Now, when it comes to IP, my advice to people who are starting up in IP is always that there are several things you need to know about practice in IP. Number one, particularly in this part of the world, IP is not something people value a lot because, unfortunately, and it's a cultural issue. It's not just necessarily a knowledge issue. It's more of cultural. And I always give a practical example. If someone walks into a room and tells you that maybe assuming we're in a faculty meeting of a university, and they say Professor so-and-so stole somebody's iPhone, everybody's going to be outraged. How could a professor at this level, stoop so low to steal an iPhone? People are going to be incensed. They're going to call, for his head. They are going to call for him to face this panel and be dismissed, also face criminal charges and go to prison. But if in the same room we come and mention that this professor has, infringed on the copyright maybe of a student who submitted a thesis to him, and used that thesis without without the consent of that student. Now he has also stolen, but because he has stolen the student's copyright, which is intangible, people just say, the man says that's not a good thing. But I mean, kill person, we talk in Nigeria. We end up trivializing the matter because somehow culturally we have been conditioned to believe that when it comes to intangibles, they are not so important. And what is really important is intangible. Now, when you extend this thinking to other aspects of our national life, you really begin to see it play out. Now, Germany doesn't, have any solid minerals. The UK, they don't sell any solid minerals. I mean, those guys just sell services. They are a lot richer than we are in Nigeria with all the oil reserves we have. They are a lot richer than, say, a country like DRC Congo that has every known natural resource you can think of on their land. So the issue is that the world, as it were, has moved away from a resource-based economy to more of a knowledge or an intangible-based economy. So things like technology and all are intangible concepts, but which we have come to find have a lot more value than the tangible. So unfortunately for us in this part of the world, we have not made that shift from tangible to intangible. And everywhere in the world that is prospering, they have made that shift, and that is why we see prosperity. So for you as an IP practitioner in Africa and Nigeria, these are some realities you face. You are coming up against a cultural battle. So I mean, I have clients come to me, somebody has infringed on their trademark, and maybe the client is doing it. I mean, his business has huge turnover. I mean, he's able to say, maybe by the time I say, okay, can I look at your financials so we could be able to do an assessment of the damages we would claim in court. You see a company that is doing well over maybe, in terms of, let me even say profit before tax, is doing well over 800 million naira. But by the time you give them a bill for that case of say 2.53 million naira, they're going to be up in arms with you. But if the same company had a problem that had to do with some of their tangible products, they are willing to spend much more than that amount of money. But they just think, I mean, the IP, just to sue somebody for using my trademark, they really can't.
Doesn't say they have done this. They gone to the two places.
They really can't
They say they are not the ones.
the importance of their IP to their overall business bottom line. So for you as an IP professional now, first of all, there's a cultural battle I've spoken about. The next battle is that in the business setting, because IP, when you divorce IP from business, which is what to a large extent I would say the generation of IP practitioners before my generation, I might be talking about trademarks, copyright for copyright sake, without linking this, IP concepts to the bottom line, to the profit and loss of a business, to the growth of a business, to the next frontier that business wants to conquer in terms of expanding its operational base. So if we divorce IP from the bottom line of businesses, then we are going to also run into this problem. So in addition to the cultural problem, we are going to run into a problem where business people really don't see the value that IP, or you as an IP consultant or an IP practitioner, brings to their business. So that is another battle you are going to face. Now, the third battle you would face as an IP professional in this climb is also the fact that there's also, of course, which we all know, the part of government regulations and all that keep some of these things stable. So, for instance, I had to just jump out of a meeting where we are technical working group trying to pass a geographical indications law for Nigeria. We're working on a draft bill to be pushed. So part of what we see also is, there's also the government and the regulatory side of things, which is another huge drawback when it comes to IP. IP is essentially a private sector thing. But however, government regulation is needed because when it comes to IP, government is needed to, put that level playing field, as it were, to ensure that all the players are able to maximize the benefits they get from their IP. So there's also a huge problem with the government regulations part of it. I mean, it stems from the fact that, for instance, in Nigeria, our IP registry, I'm talking of particularly the Trademark, Patents and Designs Registry, is still an arm of a ministry, of a parastatal, a ministry of government. So essentially, it's people by civil servants. And with due respect to them, not trying to say anything bad about civil servants, but not them necessarily, but the civil service structure is not actually optimal for regulating something that is, business inclined like IP. So we have that challenge as well. So I'm pointing out these challenges just to show you that as an IP practitioner, when you go into the field, don't make the mistake some of us made when we thought IP was all about getting clients and registering trademarks or registering patents for them, or doing a deposit of copyright for them. I mean, that is the low-hanging fruit. You should go for that. I mean, if you can, just to keep body and soul together, because which is also another thing I'm going to mention as my last point. IP is a long-term. You have to play a long game when it comes to IP. The money doesn't come immediately. So if you have to start with some of these lower level things, registration and all is fine and good, but think about some of the broader issues. Think about how you could help drive a cultural revolution, like what Juliana Imam is doing with this mentorship, helping people really see IP in a different light and see the importance of IP, even, the value of IP culturally. That's one area. Of course, the second area we spoke about, helping businesses see the bottom line. So acting as an IP consultant, not just necessarily a practitioner who is coming to help them register or help them enforce when there's a breach, but helping them consult and understanding how their IP portfolio adds up to their bottom line. And of course, you could also help to be a champion and advocate with government to get better regulations in place. So as I wrap up my speech, I'll now talk about the last part, which is profitability. The IP practice is actually, like I said, a long-term field. It's like planting what will I say, maybe cocoa trees. I mean, you are not like the man who plants corn and harvests the next year. You are going to wait, you are going to keep watching, you are going to keep tending the IP. I got into IP maybe in 2009, 2010. That was when my journey in IP actually started. But I would say with respect that, I mean, part of it was because the generation before mine and my generation were really not smart about how we went about IP. But I would say with due respect that IP did not begin to yield for me till maybe 2018. So I mean, that I'd been in that field for upwards of 8 to 9 years before I could really say I got anything tangible out of the IP sector. So it takes a while actually to build up, but part of it is because of the cultural issues I've mentioned and the fact that the earlier generations of IP practitioners have not laid a proper foundation. We had all focused on one area. Everybody was just trying to get a foreign client who retain them to register trademarks for them and all of that. But I mean, there's so much more we can do with the IP sector in Nigeria. There's so much more we can do, from government regulations to consulting to helping businesses restructure to even advising clients. I mean, if you, for instance, have a knowledge in tax law, helping clients structure their IP into their balance sheet is another huge area that does a lot of good for them, helps them with a lot of tax savings and all of that. So there's so much you can do as an IP practitioner. So finally, I want to thank you for listening to me. It's been a pleasure interacting with some of you. I mean, what of course I hope is that we'll get to do some more business in the future. I mean, you've been an IP consultancy, maybe needs a litigation and engage me to help you do the litigation. I'll be delighted to do that. Or I have a litigation and then there needs to be evaluation, and one of you has become an expert in IP valuation, and I'm calling on you to come help me assess quantum of damages and all of that. But essentially, I look forward to meeting you guys again in the future, when you are doing great strides in IP. So finally, I'll thank again our very gracious host, Madam Juliana Imam, for putting this together. This has really been wonderful. I mean, and like I always tell people, I was invited here, or I've always been invited here as a mentor. But a lot of times I have been mentored myself. I've learned a lot. There was once actually, and I don't know, it wasn't this cohort, I think the cohort before this, but we came on the program on a Friday. We discussed an area of IP law that I had not studied for a while. And because of that discussion, my mind was reawakened in that area. Tuesday, that's 3 days after, somebody came to me with an urgent request, which was focused on that area. If I had not done that session on Friday, then I would have struggled a little bit more to get that knowledge together and be able to get the client a response. So for me, I've also benefited a lot. So I also, so I'm thanking you, Lena Imam, both for inviting me to be a mentor and also allowing me to also learn and be a mentee in this program. So thank you guys very much, and I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing you at the top of IP practice in Nigeria. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you so much, Mr. Max. I'm not sure if Daniel is here, so I'll just continue the moderation until he's here. Sorry for the dog barking that you can hear. So Mr. Max is such a special person to us. He has been here from the beginning and he has been a huge support. And personally, I've benefited from his graciousness, and we are so lucky to have him with us. Thank you so much, Mr. Max. So we'll be moving on to hear from Mr. Folarin. We called him earlier, but I think he stepped out, but he's here now, and we are excited to hear from him. You're welcome, Mr. Max. Sorry, Mr. Folarin, sorry. Thank you so much.
It'd be a privilege to be confused for Max. I'll first go to the bank and withdraw all the money from all my accounts, from Max's accounts.
Oh, Mr. Folari, I didn't know you had come up. Sorry to interject, but good to see you. And of
Good to
course,
see you
permit me
too,
to tell the
bro.
mentees, this is my guy in IP, so please listen to him. Hear him.
Hey,
Whatever I say to do in IP,
Maxi
do it.
Max setting me up, oh, Juliana. I'll report Max to you. But good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I stepped out briefly to attend to something in the office. So congratulations, Juliana. Congratulations to the mentees. I don't know, Oga Max has covered the field really. So in terms of the challenges that are ahead of us as IP practitioners in Africa, and when it was really not a challenge, I was asking myself, with all these challenges, why would anybody want to be an IP consultant? In a country like Nigeria, in a continent like Nigeria. But I think we would all agree that let me be a little okay. Of all the races, everywhere I go, I find people saying that Africa actually has the largest number of creative individuals. That creativity was born. We can say creativity was born in Africa. In fact, there's a saying among dancers in the dance community that rhythm is African. Rhythm is an African thing. And if you look at music generally, you will see that a lot of the innovation in music, in arts, in culture actually is from Africa. In fact, if you look at slang and contemporary culture, Max talked about a culture shift. And one of the things that is happening as a result of these sessions, is a shift in culture. You see that culture is driven, and its global culture is largely driven by African American heritage. So if you look at different areas, you'll find that play out. So I won't bore us with that, but I would like to speak very briefly on the importance of programs like this. And you'll permit me if I praise or hail Juliana a little in the course of this conversation. I cast my mind back to a couple of years ago, and I asked myself, while thinking about what to share with us, and I asked myself, what other programs like this existed, maybe just as recently as 5, 10 years ago. There were none. Of course, technology has played a huge role in allowing for this sort of interaction, especially by video conferencing, with the availability of video conferencing. But it's not just about video conferencing. It's not just about the development in technology. It's about the ability to bring people together to have a conversation about a particular subject matter, in this case, intellectual property, with a view to building capacity, using the mentoring format. I think this is a very novel approach. Juliana and I had a couple of conversations prior to the start of the project, and fantastic stuff, Juliana. I must say, very, very good stuff. In terms of, so I would encourage us, everyone here, including myself, to see ourselves as people in the process. We're all learners, as students. Of course, except people like I forget his name now, the professor from India, the one who was an assistant director in WIPO now. I forget his name. Yes, but people like that, they've arrived.
Professor Rahman.
Yes, Professor Rahman. He has reached his, he has entered his promised land. But I find that there's always something new to learn when it comes to intellectual property. And I would also challenge us to take this as a foundation. I know many of us would have had some kind of engagement with IP already from university, or from our own personal studies, or from some other source. I see a couple of names that I recognize on this call, and I know that many of us here, most of us here, are not new or strangers to the concept of IP. But I would encourage us to see ourselves as students and to continue to dig deep. I had a conversation with a gentleman recently. Let me see, I expect that he might be on the Zoom too. Okay, he's not. And in the course of that conversation about a week ago, we were talking about some developments in streaming technology and how jurisdictions like the United States have started to take a very aggressive stance on streaming piracy, piracy, stealing broadcast streams. And I asked myself, at what point are we in Nigeria going to get to that stage? Because you have a situation where the technology already exists. In fact, I famously say that I've been streaming, and I don't mean streaming on YouTube, but using certain streaming software. I've had a set-top box for a couple of years now, maybe about 5 or 6 or 7 years now. The technology already exists, and it's almost mainstream. But regulation always plays catch up with technology. So the question then arises as to, one, what are the opportunities for businesses and for individuals to take advantage of the technology? And then two, how long will it take for what's it called? How do we build the necessary frameworks to allow a peaceful or a seamless transition when regulation finally catches up? I'll use a quick analogy to explain the point I'm trying to make. The fintech industry, in Nigeria has exploded a little later than, about a year later than the global fintech industry, took off. But what happened was there were opportunities, there were lapses in regulation, and then you had a situation where the apex regulator, took a hammer and nail approach to regulation. And what that did was it greatly disrupted and affected many of the players in the industry. It practically almost changed the industry overnight, in a very harsh and radical way that is not friendly to businesses. That's a situation where the players did not particularly make any attempt to kind of introduce their own self-regulation. And that's one of the places where I think IP practitioners play a huge role. And I would encourage us. So one, see yourself as a student. Then two, look at view your role as an IP practitioner as one that is targeted towards increasing value. And how do I mean? Max said a lot about this idea of, okay, as a lawyer, for example, the IP lawyer being the person who just goes, registers the trademarks, and gives your client a certificate or goes to court, files the action and all that. But in reality, in 21st or 22nd century, or in modern day digital economy, the role of an IP lawyer is much more intrinsic to the life of a business than just the person who files the trademarks or who applies for copyright, or who does any of those things. That role is much more, our role and your role is much more intrinsic to the business, because business in this economy, in the digital economy, is structured around intellectual property. So you have a situation where technology has moved, society has moved. So the technology exists to stream content from all over the world. Society itself has moved because people are using that technology. They have access to the technology, they are using the technology, but then regulation has not moved. And to a very large extent, you have a situation where business or the local content markets may not have gotten there yet. So what then is the role of the IP practitioner? And that's where I'll challenge us, to see ways in which we can develop the frontiers, help our clients to build on what the business models that they already have, because that's where we start talking about connecting the dots between having an IP, a strong IP stance or a strong IP approach or strong IP management approach on the one hand, and recognizing that IP adds to either protecting your IP or engaging in some kind of defensive IP registration will somehow help your bottom line. Is that connection between oh, how does this put money in our pockets, or how does this help our brands grow, help the company grow, and that's one area where we have a huge disconnect in this part of the world, especially in Nigeria. In fact, if it were not for some regulatory requirements like NAFDAC, I'm speaking to Nigerians now, and I'm sure this rings true in other African countries, but if it were not for regulatory requirements such as NAFDAC, that's the Food and Drug Administration, and the Standards Organization of Nigeria, who both require the filing of trademark documents as a preliminary to registration, I'm sure many businesses would ordinarily not be minded to even register their trademarks. But again, as an IP practitioner, our role is to help connect the importance of the idea of the brands, the property, to the potential impacts that this intangible property would have on the fate or the life of the business. And I think that's a very critical role. So one, this is it's one part of a learning journey, and then two, see yourself as more than just the person who files the trademark. See yourself as an intrinsic part of whatever business that you're rendering the service to. And then three, people ask, I feel the questionnaire recently, somebody from Zimbabwe was asking questions about our IP laws and whether Nigeria's IP laws are sufficient to meet the needs of the digital economy. And someone was surprised, but my answer was yes. My answer was actually yes, because to a large extent, with regards to maybe our trademarks laws are pretty much built on the Paris Convention, and of course our Patents and Designs Act on the PCT and the Hague Convention and all that. And the framework of these conventions actually, I think to a large extent, matches, of course, our laws haven't been amended. But if you look at the underlying principles, the underlying thinking, you find that it kind of correlates to a large extent, to a large degree, with several other common law jurisdictions. So to a large extent, there's some similarity between what we have and what exists in other jurisdictions. It's not the same, but they share some kind of historical antecedent. And so what that does is that it allows what that does is that it allows us to, at some point, to at least pick a thread. If you go to a foreign jurisdiction, you can start pulling the thread from where perhaps where Nigeria stopped, and they continued up onto the current day. But the point I'm trying to make is that I think one of the problems we have is that we haven't explored the entire gamut of our laws. So it's not that we don't have laws or that our laws are old, which to some degree they are, but then we also have not explored the entire gamut of our laws. I had a conversation recently with someone who filed an application, whose application was denied or was refused, a trademark application. And I asked the person, I said, why do you have to register in Part A of the Act? You could register your mark under Part B, and then you could do this and do that and do this and do that. And but somehow everybody registers in Part A when you think of Part A. Meanwhile, you have a Part B that allows for, some degree of similarity, and is more flexible. And the idea is, if you've invested so much in building, the value of a brand, what happens when trademark registry says, you know what, no, how do you move on from there? So exploring the boundaries of our laws is a very, very huge, is one area that we've not even started to do. And I would encourage us as practitioners to take befriend the IP, the various IP laws, especially the trademark regulations, the patents and designs regulations. Make them your friend, make them your constant companion. And I'm speaking to Nigerians, of course, and For those of us who are not in Nigeria, of course, the various IP laws of the country. But I think those laws should be your first port of call before you even consult textbooks, because you find that there's so much that we're not using. And if one were to walk to the trademark registry today, for example, and talk to any of the agents, the average agent will just will give one surface advice, but the meat of many, and that surface advice often leads to problems down the road, but the ingenuity or the strength of any practitioner is actually can be measured in the ability to know where the lines are, and know how to navigate those lines. So number one, to just quickly recap, this is part of your journey. As we should see this as part of our journey as students, as part of our journey in the scholarship journey in intellectual property. Number two, an IP practitioner is more than just the person who is given the brief to register the trademark. Is an intrinsic part of the business. And then three, explore the IP law, explore our IP law, dig deep, read, borrow from other jurisdictions, but you will find that there's so much. I was looking at a case recently of an individual who was a criminal case, who was accused of stealing, of cloning the access card of a particular broadcast company. And I said to myself, this was as far back as just a couple of years ago, maybe about 10 years ago. And I said, oh, as far back as that, people were actually cloning. So the accusation was that this person, this broadcast company, one of the biggest ones, ends in TV, has 4 letters, something TV, and the idea was this person, the accusation was that this person bought a card and then, bought cloning equipment and then cloned the card and then was using the, selling the cloned card. So the person paid for, paid subscription on one card, but then cloned that card, up to X and was selling the cloned cards. And I was saying to myself that, can you imagine that in the era of satellite technology, technology has moved, but a lot of people still use, we're still somewhere in that mix. Unfortunately, the Copyright Commission who was prosecuting could not establish the case. And I said to myself also, one of the reasons why they couldn't establish the case, ironically, was because they couldn't prove what was required, what the law required, for as the what you call proof beyond a reasonable doubt. They couldn't prove it sufficiently, and everything comes down to one's familiarity with your IP legislation. So I would encourage us to please to dig deep, to undertake personal study, and there are, thank God, there are many more programs like this that one can have access to. I'm a big fan of the JIIPCC courses, and I would encourage anyone to take them. But one of the challenges with general courses is that you can't have, it's hard to have a one size fits all rule. IP is still largely municipal. It's defined by the laws of the various countries, that within which that the jurisdictions, and all that. And what it means essentially is that unless one is grounded in the laws of the territory or the jurisdiction, one is likely to there may be some differences and gaps, here and there. And so I would encourage you to engage with content from your countries, but more importantly, dig deep into the laws of your jurisdiction. I would like to quickly ask a question because I'm trying to figure out how many people here are from Nigeria. How many people are not from Nigeria? Okay, we have quite a number of people. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm in order, and I think finally I would say that yes, there are challenges that are generational, that are ancestral. We have challenges in Africa, yes. And some of our challenges have to do with engagement with the intangible, with intangible objects, with inanimate objects. You know, because of the nature of our of African heritage, you know, our relationship with the intangible is one of our relationship with the intangible. You know, is very interesting. You know, I wouldn't go into spirit worship and all that, but in the African sense, our we see life as a continuum. So we have ancestors and then we have descendants. You know, and I think to a large extent, just as Mark said, that has affected you know, our perception of intellectual property, of intangible rights. You know, but I would like to encourage us, because it's a bit of a two-sided coin, you know, because on the flip side, you also have a situation where, and I started by saying this, that creativity actually, you know, emanated from Africa. And so IP, while the concept of IP, or the Eurocentric concept of individual ownership of IP may be a little foreign at the outset, you know, somewhere in our gene code is that sequence of creativity. And so in the real sense, intellectual property is not really far, or the concept, the idea of intellectual property is not really far away from us culturally. If you look at, you know, a variety of cultures, yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday about this patent application from Benue State. Somebody has, you know, someone created a water filtration system that eliminates about 97% of, you know, impurities, blah blah blah. But and this is like a traditional system of water purification. The other day, I was also fortunate to be part of a team that we filed this lawsuit seeking to. I'm trying not to. Well, we filed this lawsuit seeking to recognize Bata as the origin of salsa, you know, and we filed the matter at a customary court, and a lot of people called me to say, "Oh, why would you file an IP? It's an IP matter." And you know, a dance professor called me a dance lawyer, and I said, "Okay, I'll take the title." But there was this whole hubbub about you're filing an IP matter in a customary court. You know, how does that work? Isn't the Federal High Court the ordinary destination for intellectual property disputes? And my response was, if you read, and you know, speaking to Nigerians now, but it's the principle. If you read Section 251 of the Constitution, and if you read paragraph F particularly, it talks about which gives the jurisdiction of settling IP disputes to the Federal High Court. It talks about federal legislations. So the difference between that federal legislation, so if you had a state legislation, or if you had, you know, like a customary law that, you know, touches on intellectual property, either patents, trademarks, you know, whatever, then in that situation, the customary court would have jurisdiction. So imagine, for example, that I was talking to somebody recently about Christy Eseni-Bokwe, the famous Nigerian singer, you know, and she died, I think she died intestate. So Disney is doing something with her estate. So imagine that the owner of, and it's copyright music 70 years after the death of the author. Imagine that that person dies intestate, and the person leaves behind a catalog of music. The catalog will outlive, you know, the life, of course, it outlives the lifetime of the owner. How does that catalog devolve? You know, who is the person's next of kin? What are the rules by which, you know, that intellectual property are to be shared? All these things are defined, and, you know, in situations where the person dies intestate, by customary law, at least in Nigeria. You know, so I think to a large extent there's a whole there's so much that has not been explored, so much that has not been developed. And I think if you ask me, there's no better time to be an IP lawyer, there's no better time to be an IP practitioner, there's no better time to be an IP creator. And I'm looking forward to a time when, and I'm sure not everybody here will be I'm sure not everyone here, came here with the aim of becoming an IP practitioner. Some of us want to get the knowledge so that we can be better informed as creators, or as professionals in some other field. So I would encourage us. I see a situation where I was talking to some students today, and we were talking about mainstreaming intellectual property as a course, as some kind of subject, or introducing young people to IP. And I see a situation where we wouldn't have to tell people or tell creators, oh, you have to protect your intellectual property. On their own, our creators would value their intellectual property. And when there's an infringement, people will not say, oh, well, I leave it to God. Like a very popular artist once told me, he said that when it goes into, I don't know if I can say this, when it goes into the spirit at night, that the songs just drop. So if someone stole those songs, you go and collect more so that more songs will drop. And I said, wow, what do you say to that? But like I said, there's so much content. If you look at social media, there's a lot of content. If one goes into some of the some areas, some parts of Nigeria, Benue State, for example, which for some funny reason had the highest number of patent searches. I think in the last quarter of 2021. I don't know why more people will be searching for patents in Benue State than even in Lagos State. So if one goes into some of these areas, you find that there's a growth, there's a resurgence, there's a growth of interest in innovation. You have more people. We spoke with Jerry Malo. Jerry Malo is a fabricator, is a designer, is an industrial designer, and he's famously described as the person who designed Nigeria's first sports car. There are a lot of young people like that who are doing big things, and they will need your services, they will need our services, to help them scale and take it to not just to the country, but to the world. And so with that, I would like to say congratulations to you guys. Thank you very much, Juliana, for having me. It's always a pleasure. I wish all of us the very best. Of course, this is not an end again. It's just, part of our journey. So I look forward to connecting with everyone in the future. Juliana's mentees are everywhere, all over social media. You just go on Instagram and you're like, everybody is everywhere. And I'm like, wow, nice one. So well done. It's been a pleasure, or a player, as my people in Elisha like to say. Thank you very much for having me.
You're breaking, Daniel. I'm not sure if it's just me, but from my end, you're breaking.
Okay.
Can we hear him? Please let me know if you can hear Daniel, so I will know if it's from my end. Okay, so while we're waiting for him to fix his network, I just want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Folarin. It's actually my pleasure to invite you every quarter. Pleasure to invite you every quarter. Mr. Folarin has been an amazing support right from the first day I met him up till today. He's like a father figure. So if you need anything in this industry, he's someone that you can reach out to. So I don't know if Daniel has fixed his network. Okay, so while I'm waiting for him, and I'm supposed to come up next to just speak, and to be very brief. Mr. Folarin has so much to say, so even if you give him 1 hour, it cannot be done. He has a lot to say. I want to acknowledge the presence of the AI mentees, that's artificial intelligence and technology mentees. I know that some of them are also here. And the mentors have been talking about IP, I know, but I just want to say that for you to even seek to learn more about IP, it's an amazing, about AI and technology. I think it's an amazing thing, and it's a field that is emerging. And the more we learn about it, the more we can point and show it to the world to really appreciate what it's about. And it's not as easy as IP. That's like getting mentors for IP, in the sense that if I want to get an IP mentor, maybe I can write to them, research and all that. But for the AI, there are few people that are practicing in that space. So I think it's a good space, and it's good that you're already searching and diving and researching into that space. And I want to encourage you to continue doing that, because that's the future. So let's continue learning. Thank you so much. And then I also like to appreciate the mentors that are here. So from the chat box, I can see Amusa Shukurat, Mr. Kristen, Professor Samuel Andrews, Mr. Ayokunle Adetula from Ayebode. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the sacrifice. Thank you for making it possible, making this whole thing possible. Thank you so much. And I don't know if it's possible to just hear your voices, to say hi to them, hi to the mentees before they start talking about the program. So please, maybe we can hear from Amusa. Just say hi, please, hi to the mentees, so that we can just see your face and hear your voice.
Hi, Juliana. Hi, everyone. Good
afternoon.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for
giving your time. Having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amusa. Okay, so this is her beautiful face. You can reach her up on Instagram. She has a lot of content and all that, so you can reach out to her. Thank you, Amusa.
You're welcome.
So we also have Mr. Kristen here. Sir, please, can we just see your face and hear you say hi before we continue? Okay, maybe he's not close to the system. So we'll move to Professor Samuel Andrews. Sir, please, can we hear you soon?
Hi, mentees, everybody. Good evening, I guess. Yeah, it's nice to share. It's been my pleasure to learn and also to impart. And I hope this is not the end, like Mr. Aluku said. We have to keep going on. IP is an interesting area. It's evolving, especially in the global South. So I encourage you all, get in touch with me. If you need anything, I'm always open. You know, I might come in late because I have a lot of things on my table, but I'm always there. And thank you, Juliana, and thank you to all the mentors. It's been a great ride. Thank you. Be well.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you for your time and your knowledge with us. Mr. Ayokunle Adetula, he was here a while back. Yes, please, can we just hear you say hi to us before we continue?
Hi, good evening, everybody.
It's so good to see you, sir.
To the mentees, I think this is a step in the right direction, and Juliana, there is no need saying it again. You are doing an amazing job.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks to everybody, and take the time to also network among yourselves. I mean, because everybody says, oh, move up and get to know more. But I mean, I think there's also need for you to also, because Some of you, you'll be blazing. Some of you may be slow to pick up. But if you see your colleagues and you're able to say, oh, this person is doing this, that's a very good way to get yourself, gingered and get things going for yourself. So I do wish everybody, the mentees, all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. It's so good to see you and hear your voice. Thank you, sir. Happy New Year. Then let's also hear from Mr. Kristen, if he's here, before we start hearing from the mentees. Okay, I think he's not here again. So thank you so much. I actually enjoyed listening to everyone, all the mentees for this set. And I'll just acknowledge those that I can see their videos on. So I can see Mitch. Mitch always puts his video on and his presentations are always tight. Thank you so much. And for every other person, yes, so I can see Sekinat. Thank you, Sekinat. I can see Solomon Faith. Thank you, Solomon Faith. I can see Abisoye Akintomi. This is the first time I'm actually seeing your face, so it's good to see your face. Oyeka Chuku Wanwolo, thank you so much. Your video is always on too. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Ogene Feko. Thank you, and for all those who used to keep the chat box alive and on fire. Thank you so yes. Okay, Oluwafemi, one of our on point presenters. Thank you so much. Who else? Okay, Anthony, yes, I remember you. Thank you so much. Nifemi, thank you. So for all those that have seen your video on, I think I've called your names. Thank you so much. And for every other person, thank you so much. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. So let's hear from you. Over to you, Mr. Daniel. Yes, and for the moderators that are here, I think I saw Jude, say Daniel. These are past mentees that are now moderating. Thank you so much for your sacrifice and your time also. Thank you. Okay, over to you, Daniel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ma, for giving us the opportunity to also learn. I mean, for those of us who have taken part of this program, we've had opportunities in IP because we actually got this opportunity. So thank you so much, Ma. And like Mr. Max and Mr. Folari said, we have to keep learning. We are students. We can overemphasize. Thank you so much. So to the mentees, without further ado, please, you just, I might not be able to call you in sequence, but please, you just put on your video and you have just 3 minutes each to tell us what you've learned thus far, how you intend to use what you learn to, let me use the word, to better the society, to educate others on intellectual property, to propagate the gospel of intellectual property, because we are like soldiers of JIIPCC, sent out there to propagate the gospel of intellectual property. So over to you to the mentees. And also, we also include to how you also intend to network among yourselves, like Mr. Ayokole said. I think it's key, even though previous mentees, we do not take it into cognizance to network among ourselves. I think it's key. So please, over to you, the mentees. You have 3 minutes each. And once it's 3 minutes on the dot, I will definitely stop you. Over to you. So who's going to go first? I think I can say Nifemi, so maybe I should start calling the names. Okay, so Nifemi, please, can you kindly unmute yourself and possibly unmute your video, also on your video, so we can definitely listen to you. Thank you. You have the floor, Nifemi.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Please, can you try and address? I'm actually on transit and I'm having issue with even putting my video. But let me just try and see if I can go on. Okay, so the whole 9 weeks has actually been an amazing experience for me, to be sincere. Having an experience on my IP, the practical view after my school has actually been what I look up to. So when I saw the advert, it was like the right thing at the right time. I didn't hesitate to apply for it. And starting with it is actually been an experience, which I know is actually has impacted me a long way in my journey towards being an IP practitioner. And I don't know where to start from. Is it from having a first full experience on IP and genetics resources, to in fact my first deep experience, let me say, knowledge on IP and music creatives, master rights and co. Sincerely, this was where I first had a deep knowledge about it. And then I can't forget the experience I had with IP and sports. Yes, I've actually always been talking about sports law, sports law when it comes to IP. And then I must actually appreciate that experience or that session on IP and sports. It was actually very good. I was telling one of my teammates that I don't only like this session, I love the session. So sincerely, for every session we had, it was actually a great experience for me. I can't be saying this, but really, it's an experience I can't forget. And the impact of our teamwork, yes, having to maintain our connection. I think we appreciate that in my team, and we're actually trying to see if we can all keep up with our LinkedIn connections. I believe we are all friends on connections on LinkedIn already, and then we hope to work together after now. Since the team is what one cannot just go off with. Is what should be continue considering the experiences, the knowledge of different team members. Sincerely, it's not what one can just say, okay, let's go off about it like that. I'm actually missing the team already. And then, where to me, the whole program has been an awesome experience and a great impact of knowledge from different teams, from my own team and co. What I can say is kudos and thank you for the whole very rich experience. And I hope other enthusiasts can see this opportunity and also apply and just for that few weeks just get the experience. What is after actually for me is a good experience, as a good one to start it. I'm a young lawyer just in the year, so it's just one thing I need while still pursuing the career. So I think that is all I can say. So allow others to talk to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Nufemi. Thank you for giving us an insight into what you've learned thus far and how you intend to use it going forward. So I will definitely call on others. Please, you can definitely unmute yourself and turn on your video. And please, if you are in transit, please pass. You might just wait for others who are not, so that we can listen to you properly. I would just encourage that you don't speak for now if you're in transit. So please, I will just call any of the mentees can actually unmute themselves and turn on their video, and so that we can listen to what you've learned thus far and how you intend to use it going forward. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Anulwakwa Kuyemi, and I am an intellectual property mentee. The past 9 weeks have been wonderful for me as a person because I didn't get the opportunity to study intellectual property as a course in the university. So having to join this internship program and having tasks to write on, the first article I ever wrote on intellectual property was because of this mentorship program. And it showed me that I can do anything I want to do, because it's something I had never done before. I had never even read any book on it before, but then I was given an article to write. I'm like, okay, how am I supposed to do this? And I wrote 2 articles during the course of this internship, and I cannot believe it. Even though I don't know the result, I even wrote an article for an intellectual property competition, and I'm like, okay, seems like I'm getting the edge of this thing. So like, I really want to appreciate all of the sponsors, the mentors, the mentees, every single person for their help during the course of this internship. And I'm certain that going forward, I'll be able to use it better, because the truth is, apart from what they teach us here, it behoves on each and every one of us to actually do the extra work, because this is not the end. This is just like the foundation for, especially for those of us that are just starting. So if we decide to just leave this knowledge to what we've just learned here, it would be a problem. So going forward, I believe that all of us should be able to do the work, make research, and do better in the field. Thank you.
You're muted.
Okay, I've muted. Thank you so much for giving us an insight very concisely. So please, to the next mentee, because of paucity of time, please can you just unmute yourself and turn on your video too. We would like to see it.
So hello
Sorry,
everybody. Can I proceed?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, you can proceed.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Mayowa, and I'm an artificial intelligence and tech mentee. So the past 9 weeks have been a roller coaster. I want to say a huge thank you to Miss Juliana, because I think I have tested her a lot with the number of things that have been on my table. Our school calendar just changed abruptly, so we had tests, my phone got spoiled. A lot of things have happened, but the program was really helpful to me. I'm writing my project on blockchain technology, which was why I picked artificial intelligence. And I really had to sit down and think that, okay, I'm writing on blockchain. What do I want to do with blockchain? Blockchain and artificial intelligence, they can't be separated from each other. This program helped me have a scope of what I wanted to do. It helped me align my focus, because we had a session on blockchain and its regulatory uses. It was very insightful and helpful for me. We had a session on space law. The space law just blew my mind, because I'm like, okay, I could do something on blockchain and space. The currency of the world of Earth on Mars. That many ideas were just flowing through my mind. I just want to say a very big thank you to the facilitators, the organizers, the mentors, and to my team members. It has been a roller coaster, literally, but we were able to pull through and make the best of our limited resources. So thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mayowa. Thank you for the comment. I think Daniel is muted. So any other person can just unmute and speak.
Good evening.
We can hear you, Anthony, but it's breaking. Maybe you try putting your video off and try to speak. That might be
Honestly, I want to appreciate everybody, especially my team, everybody together to build and organize this great thing. Honestly, for me, IP is one of my first love aside other areas. And I offered IP in school, I'm in my third year, but I've learned a lot, I mean, it's too big, it's too great. I mean, especially the relationship with IP and other sectors of the economy, like aviation, space, sports, artificial intelligence, and a lot. And when I started my sojourn actually within IP for my second year, I don't really understand, especially in emerging areas where IP relates to. But this initiative exposed me to how I can be found in these areas, and that's one thing I actually value so much. And I got to know a lot of great people. Even I had people like Peace, Abisoye, Adesawa, and everybody who I connected with and doing great things. And I really just appreciate the whole thing. It's 9 weeks. I can't believe it's ending actually, but I really appreciate everyone. For me, taking the whole knowledge forward, it's more like applying and doing more work. somewhere it's somewhere I love so much, and I see myself doing more exploit, especially in the policy formulation and other things. So I really appreciate this opportunity, and going forward, I see myself applying all this knowledge to, improve the area of IP. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Your line was breaking, so we couldn't hear you clearly. But so please, other members, please can you unmute yourself and let us also listen to you. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. My name is Sekina. I actually was or is now, because okay, I was a member of the intellectual property mentorship group. Okay. Well, the past 9 weeks or 8 weeks has been eventful. Like, I've learned like a lot from the substantial parts of intellectual property as they relate to like various areas, like ranging from the fashion industry, engineering, music industry, movie industry. It was quite challenging for me at some point, because I'm currently in the Nigerian law school, the Bros campus, and our schedule is so tight. We have classes to like evening time, so sometimes I even get tired when we have our Zoom meetings by 4:30. But so I was still able to learn a lot, and my group members are like wonderful. They always check up on each other. How is school? Oh, school is not stressing you. How is work? How is this? So it was really fun. Like, I actually I got to network with them. I would say that, because I'm very sure we'll not stop being friends or being in connection after today. I'm very sure that, yeah. So that's it for me. I'm grateful to Juliana, Mrs. Juliana, for this opportunity. I actually found about this opportunity from a mentor on this program. I think Mrs. Amosu Shukurat. Like, she has this consulting page on Instagram where she posts a lot of opportunities. So I got to see this. I was like, let me just register, and she advised me to jump on this. So I got to do this. So while I didn't even think of this before, but when you told us like what do we intend to do after this program, I actually sat down and just thought to myself that I like using social media. So like, what can I really use social media for? So I'm thinking of starting like a page where I get to like advise people or just teach people what IP is about. It doesn't have to be something deep. Or can basically I'm going to grow with my followers. I'm also going to learn, and that way I'm also teaching people. So I tend to do that. I also plan to I know WIPO usually have this essay competition for World IP Day, and I know that the IP team is going to be IP and youth. So I'm like, all of us are basically youth. So it does give me that idea that I think I know what I want to write for the essay. So I'm considering involving myself in the competition, and I hope I win. I hope I get. So because I'm thankful to the mentors. I'm thankful to my fellow mentees. I actually got to see how the perspective of IP from other people. I get to see how you guys put out your presentations. So I even got to learn how I can also make presentations too, because I'm not so good with presenting. Like, well, I will get better from there. So I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I recommend this to other people to jump on this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sakinat. And I really hope you do apply for the competition. And actually, we are rooting for you. And we also wish you good luck in the Nigerian Law School. We are rooting for you, both in the Nigerian Law School and in the prospective essay competition. Wonderful blueprints. Thank you so much. any other mentee wants to actually share their opinions with us, we are ready to listen to you. Just please unmute yourself, turn on your mic, and please keep
Good
it
evening,
private.
everyone.
Molala, we can't hear you. Maybe you should turn off your video and then just.
Hear me now.
Sorry, I think your line is breaking. Your network is perhaps maybe you should just wait or mute yourself, rather, then when you have good network connection, you can then speak. Please, is there any other mentee who wants to speak?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Please.
Okay, I'm audible. All right.
Yeah, you're audible, Solomon.
All right. My name is Solomon Faith. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be mentee on this platform. It has been interesting. I've learned a lot. 8 weeks of intense learning. I can't, communicate everything to just one or few words, but I've learned a lot. And then because of how broad IP is, I might not be able to say the exact location or the exact direction I'll be following, but I think I'll be figuring that as time goes on. I'm still a student, 400 level student, studying law at the university. So it's been an interesting thing. We don't do IP law particularly in school, but it has been an opportunity to learn a lot about IP. Previously, I finished with MIPLG. I learned about IP. That was my first encounter with IP actually. So when I saw this opportunity, I just jumped at it. An opportunity to learn more. In fact, one of my mentors in MIPLG also is a mentor here, Mrs. Rita Anwiri Chinda. I was very glad to see her here too. And I'm also appreciative of all the mentors. I've learned so much from Mr. Max, Mr. Folari, Ms. Sukrat. It's been very interesting ride. I'm so grateful for it. Also the mentees, at least on my group, I've connected with everybody on my group. And then I'll also be connecting with others from other groups also. So it has been a very interesting ride, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you, Mrs. Juliana. It's been very interesting. I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you, ma. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I would we'll proceed. Please, other mentees, kindly unmute yourself and let us listen to what you have for us. Thank you so much.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. You're audible. Thank you.
Okay. I want to thank the organizers, Madam Juliana, for this wonderful IP mentorship session. Before the mentorship program, I did not know about JIIPCC. So when I saw it on LinkedIn, I was just like, okay, let me just give it a shot because I was very interested. I am very interested in IP. I'm a practicing lawyer, and in my university, in my undergraduate years, I did not know about IP. I just got interested in IP sometime last year, and then I took an internship, a virtual internship, where I learned the basics. So I've been very interested in furthering, and I decided to give this JIIPCC mentorship program a shot. And I'd like to say that it has been worth it, like totally. Like the basics of IP that I thought I was just like, I don't know, I'm dumbfounded that IP has an almost limitless scope. So like it cuts across, intertwines so many aspects of our lives, businesses, and the labor market generally. So this mentorship program is highly recommendable. So I recommend it to IP enthusiasts like I was, and IP practitioners that are upcoming. I want to thank the mentors for their time and their commitment to meeting with us, sharing with us, and encouraging us. I also want to thank my teammates because they were really wonderful. They were very cooperative. They were very good to work with. I remember even when I was group leader, I'm working, I have other tasks, and then They were just cooperating, like, and we check up on each other too. So they didn't give me headaches, and I hope I didn't give anybody headaches. So I want to thank everyone. I hope that very soon I'll be able to co-author articles with my fellow mentees here. And my favorite topics were IP and sports, and then IP and data privacy and data protection. So I think at a master's level, I want to take something that is related to IP and data protection. So that's what I plan to do with this knowledge. And then, of course, I keep sensitizing people out there. Thank you very much, Ma, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're very, very grateful to hear from you. Thank you so much. And the fact that you're even practicing, you're already practicing. Thank you. So it means you are harmed already to sensitize a lot of people and your clients as well. Yeah. So I will proceed. Please, so to other mentees who are ready to speak, just unmute yourself, turn on your video, and let us listen to you. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yeah, good evening. You are audible. Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, sorry, I think she has network glitches. Okay, we can hear you.
I am Ogenefego. Yeah. So, okay. Can you hear me clearly now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, audible. You're audible. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Ogenefego Yetu. Everyone calls me Fego because the name is quite difficult. So a lot of people tend to call me Ogene. We can't call me Ogene. Ogene means God from where I come from. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I actually found out about this program on LinkedIn. A friend of mine posted about it, like this the 8-week assignment where they asked us to make posts, tag our fellow mentees, mentors, and all of that. She did that last year. So that was when I saw the post, I was like, okay, JIIPCC, what's this about? I looked it up and like, oh, okay, I'll try this out. So I was looking for ways to keep updated about it so that the next one I'll just get in as well. And thank God it was really affordable because that was one thing I was really considering, as well as time as well, because it was a whole stretch for me because I knew, okay, I was going to start the semester just at the start of the program. So because I'm a final year law student of Delta State University, so I think that was quite challenging for me, but I'm really, really happy I gave it a shot. I'm still trying to navigate through law. Law is like very, very broad, and I was looking at it like, okay, there are a lot of areas where I have interest on, and I actually offered IP in 100 level as in 400 level as an elective. So I'm like, oh, okay, I really like this IP. So let me just go into other areas of IP because IP is very broad and all of that. So I also want to thank the mentors, like point from their fountain of knowledge. It has been a very great experience, and also learning from fellow mentees, presentations and everything. And the teamwork as well was actually very, very, very great. I really appreciate my group members, group 3. I learned a lot from you all, the whole fire to embark on research, everything. It was really, really beautiful. I hope, of course, like one of our mentors talked about networking. Okay, I'm doing that with my group members, and hopefully I can as well do that with other group members. I hope to be in contact with the rest of you as well, and I hope to learn from you all in future. So this has been a great experience for me, and yes, of course, I would recommend this to anybody. So that will be all, because if I'm to go on and on and on and on, I'll keep talking about everything I like about IP, broadcasting in sports. That was like very interesting for me. There were other areas as well. And there's this mentor, I think Rita Shinda, she also gave us this breakdown about when you get a job, when you're given a contract, how you should look at it, how you should like really make sure you look at it, read in between the lines, go into it in depth. I shouldn't be look at things and be like, agree and continue. So these were the little things that I really learned that, of course, I'm to take it everywhere. Arch with all the mentors, fellow mentees. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ogenefego. Hope I got the pronunciation correctly. All
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
So I'll call you Ogenefego. Thank you so much. And we also wish you success as your semester is ongoing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So just receive because of we are due to paucity of time. So that means who have not spoken. So kindly unmute yourself and turn on your video so that we can listen to you. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Abise. My name is Abise Akintolu, and I would like to first of all thank all the mentors of this program. Actually, I never did IP in my university, and I'm currently practicing law. I'm currently a lawyer. I was called to bar last year. So I currently work in a full litigation firm where we do a bit of corporate law, and I've always been interested in corporate practice. There's something about watching companies come into existence and them having legal personalities and watching them perform on the legal space. So along the line, I was actually I was incorporating companies and registering business names, and a lot of our clients would ask me about intellectual property rights, and I did not know much in that space. So my friend then recommended this particular program to bridge the gap, because I was asking her for entry-level articles and textbooks. So she recommended this particular program to me, this mentorship. And I'm so glad I took the mentorship, because I've been able to understand general IP on the general space. I've been able to see how IP impacts the economy. I've been able to see how IP works in the fashion space. I've been able to see how IP impact tech, how it impacts blockchain, smart contracts, and all that. And it's been a really wonderful journey for me. And I would surely be recommending this mentorship. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Juliana. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Abise, and thank you for also intending to recommend it to others. So that means if we say we have 90 mentees, so that means at least 90 mentees recommend, you should be having over 200 mentees in the next quarter. Thank you so much. So please, so other mentees who have not spoken and you are also willing to speak, please unmute yourself, turn on a video if possible, and let us listen to you. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me? Good evening.
Sorry, good evening. I hear
you.
But I think your network, your line is breaking.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear. I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Oh, fantastic. Right, my name is Mitchell Juang. I hope you can hear me. I'm a practicing lawyer in Kenya. I'd like to thank Juliana Faku. All right. I'd like to thank Ms. Juliana for this opportunity. It has been a great learning experience. And the more I learned, the more I realized I do not know a lot. And I can't wait to go back and revise everything I've learned and to put it into practice. I'd like to thank Group 4 members, especially, all the mentees, especially, but Group 4. Priscilla, Precious, Sekinat, rooting for you for that essay. Glory, Chisom, and Sami. We love you all. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank the mentors as well. I aspire to have that level of knowledge and expertise that you give to us. And going forward, I'd like to use this knowledge to manage IP portfolios and registration, valuation, commercialization, And also as an aspiring creative, I want to use that knowledge on my art. And I look forward to the next mentorship program. I'm applying for the AI program. I'll definitely be there. And this is not the last time you see me. Thank you so much, everyone.
So much, Mitch. All the love from Nigeria to you. Thank you so much. Oh, okay, still speaking.
You're muted. Are you still talking, Mitch?
I think he's still speaking. Sorry, you're muted.
No, I've finished. Sorry, I've finished. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're actually muted, so we could not. Okay, Mr. Julian wants to say something? Okay, I thought Mr. Julian wanted to make a comment. Okay, with all the love from Nigeria to you, thank you so much for participating in the program. So our other mentees, please, okay, I think Abraham is unmuted, so Abraham, you have the floor.
Hello, good evening, can you hear me?
Good evening.
Okay, I guess majority of people that have sneaked in and sneaked out at some point, still in the office. So, but I guess majority of people that have spoken on IP. Well, and I guess one or two other persons I can see on the list were in the AI cohorts, artificial intelligence cohorts, and I guess Toby is here. I guess it was so much of a learning experience for me. I mean, when I was introduced to the program, I was excited because at that point I was developing some. I was trying to develop some competence or expertise, I would say, in intellectual property, but with specific emphasis on technology, right? So when I saw the options of intellectual property and technology and artificial intelligence, I went for the AI bit of it. I think one of the takeaways for me, apart from the knowledge experience, one of the takeaways for me was the fact that when you are, there's really so much you're capable of when you are put in that condition to deliver, right? We had to do research week in, week out to deliver points to the group for collation. You are working a normal 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, or reverse 5 to 9 if you like. Getting home very late, and of course you have deadlines from the group to turn in the work. Getting home and sitting up late and still researching on something you almost know nothing about, or almost nothing about, and you still have to turn it in, and you have to do that for 8 weeks at a stretch. I guess it was an experience I would not forget in a hurry, right? In fact, this weekend I've committed to giving myself a treat because I think I deserve it after this intense work. So I want to thank the organizers. I want to thank Ms. Imam. She was very understanding. I think I reached out to her once or twice. I said, look, ma, this deadline is not going to work. Please help me. Give me a 1 or 2 days extension. And she was gracious enough to say, oh, well, that's fine, right? So I'm particularly grateful to her for that understanding. I'm grateful to all the mentors. Sometimes you do all the research you think you could have done, and just make one statement and you see the fundamental flaw or the fundamental gap in what you did. And you take it in good faith and you move on, right? With a commitment to get better. So I thank each of them. I'm grateful for the commitment of their time. And I think that I will immediately jump on the next cohort. I do not want to promise, but I think I would jump on the next cohort. Thank you very much. To my colleagues, they were super people. Our cooperation was amazing, right? Everyone volunteering, coming through for each other. Sorry, I'm on transit. Can you help me present? Can you help me collate? That cooperation was top notch. I'm super grateful to them. Thank you very much. I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Abraham. Thank you. And thank you. And yeah, please do give yourself a treat. You deserve it. And also encourage you to also use all that you've learned as you're practicing. Also, it's also very key. There are a lot of people out there who do not know about IP. So please, to the next mentee who wants to...
Permit me, I forgot to mention that I would gladly recommend this. Sorry about that, for jumping in. And yes, I would use everything I've learned going forward. Thank you.
Please do, please do.
Yeah.
So please, the next mentee, if you've not spoken and you are willing to speak, just unmute yourself and turn on your video. Please, you just have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
You're audible.
Okay, good. My name is Olorunsobi Abdulkabir. I'm from the AI and Tech cohort. So by way of introduction, let me introduce myself again. My name is Olorunsobi Abdulkabir. I'm a 300 level law student from Lagos State University. So basically, one of the things that actually moved me to apply for this internship was because of they introduced a new course in my school, IT and law, and it actually opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I felt like, okay, let me actually see, this is actually part of area of law that I think I'm interested in. Let me see how far I can go with it. And then I started I went online, I started reading more about it, but personally, I'm having little experience about the area, so it was giving me some difficulties. Then I started looking for internship opportunities. Then one of my friends actually posted, I think she also did this. I don't think it was the AI and Tech aspect that she did anyway. I'm not sure what she did, but she posted it, she recommended it for me, and then I decided to apply. And honestly, I have to say that actually I'm glad I did, because initially I was kind of skeptical about applying, being that I would be in school and every other thing I would be busy with. But then it was actually a very fun experience. It made me learn a lot. I gained a lot of knowledge about tech law, and now I can say that, okay, with the knowledge I've learned, I can actually have a better understanding of what is involved, the opportunities that are there, how I can take a step forward in building myself in that aspect of law, the parts of it I'm actually interested in and the parts of it that I could care less about, it to say so. And also, that 8 weeks, it was actually, aside from just the knowledge again, how would I put it? The day in, day out, having to research, write, present, talk, and everything, the experience, it was really, really nice for me. It was it helped stretch me. It stretched my capabilities, helped me to learn a lot. I'm really grateful for that. And also the mentors actually they also helped a lot. The parts of things that you'd research and you wouldn't get, and then you'd come to the Friday sessions and then they were explaining it, and it was really, really nice. I also enjoyed that. I also enjoyed working with my teammates. They were all very, very amazing people, and I look forward to still keeping in touch with them. And as for how I'm going to be using this, what I've learned, for one, I still plan to look for more internship opportunities in future relating to tech law. And also, I'm also planning to start writing. I'm opening a blog actually, writing more about tech as an aspect, researching more about it, and hoping to get more opportunities in that aspect. So yeah, and also I would actually recommend, I would have loved to jump on the second cohort, but my exams are coming up soon and I don't think I'll be able to put them together. So do that together at the same time. But actually I would recommend it for other people as well. I really enjoyed the program, and I thank the organizers, I thank Juliana Imam, I thank the mentors.
I think we lost him. Abdulkadir, are you still on the call? I think perhaps maybe he's having network issues. All right. Thank you so much, Abdulkadir, for sharing with us. Well, we are very grateful. to have listened to you. So please, is there any other mentee who has not spoken and who is willing to speak? Please, so that you can we can listen to you. Thank you. Just unmute yourself and just observe all the protocols. Thank you. It seems everyone has spoken. I'm not sure. Okay, it seems everyone has spoken. All right. So is there any other mentee who has not spoken? Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Well, I guess that's probably so much time, and or maybe some are not interested in allowing us to hear their voice. So please give the closing remark so that we close for today. Sorry for the dogs barking on the other end. I think they would also like to be part of the discussion. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you for this anchor. Thank you for moderating the session. I usually enjoy the comments that you give afterwards, and that's what makes me smile. The after comments. Thank you so much. So I would like to say a very big thank you to the mentees. I would miss you guys. And the beautiful thing about this thing is every set has something that is unique about them. And one of the things that I enjoyed the most about your set, which no other set gave to me, was the comment section chat and the love and the unity. I think I saw a post on LinkedIn. Somebody called one of her fellow group members her sugar mommy, and then the other one gave her another praise, and then another one landed another praise on top of that one. Like, it was just amazing. And I think that was beautiful. The fact that, aside from the fact that you learn these skills, you also get friends for life. When I think about some of the cases that come to me and I don't want to do them, I just move them to my friend and he does it for me. Like yesterday, I sent one of my friends to Supreme Court and he went, I was like, send your account number, and he was like, don't worry, I'm going to do it for you. And that's the power of friendship. So I'm so glad that some of us have made friends for life, and hopefully some will even get married, who knows. So it's just beautiful. I can see Mitch laughing, and I know that he has his eyes on some people just because he's always putting his video on. So I'm sure it's to also allow people to see that he's a handsome guy. So we are okay. If you want to take anyone from Nigeria to Kenya, it's fine. And for the other guys too, and beautiful ladies that we see, thank you so much. For the mentors that are still with us, I can see Amusa is still here, Professor Samuel is still here. Thank you so much. I would miss your sets. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime. And what else have I not said? I don't know what I've not said. If I've well, okay, so for those who might be interested in moderating future sessions, please reach out to me privately and you will be added to the group for those who will be moderating. So thank you. Grace is here, Sewese is here. Thank you so much. Thank you all. I love you all. And when I say I love you, I'm not just saying it because, well, I actually mean it, because I don't have to say it on a corporate platform. So if I'm saying it, it's because I mean it. So thank you all. I'll miss you all. Love you all. Take care of yourselves. Daniel, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please take yourselves out. You've all tried for these 9 weeks. Thank you. And for those in law school, I wish you all the best. For the students here, I wish you all the best. For the lawyers here, I wish you all the best. Everyone, take care of yourselves. Love you. Bye.
Thank you, Ma. Bye.
Enjoy yourself, Ma.